and it's going to start. There we go. And I am going to open my presentation from there. So we're just doing Canva crazy today. So one thing about Canva is it's not like any type of different program from anything that we could really do in Google, but it is just a whole lot fancier. So one of the things that really sticks out to me is that Canva is a great communication tool. And that may not be the way that you were necessarily thinking of it. Like Canva makes stuff pretty, but it essentially makes communication to go to someone. We can build a class hub, a class website is one of the things. A lot of people have begun using it for classroom newsletters because there are so many super cute and professional, easy to use templates where you literally just take what somebody's designed and you plug in your information, and it's simple and it looks like a work of art. Making classroom announcements that goes along with things that you want to do and remind, things we post on social media. Canva is a great outlet to create those in. And then encouragement cards is something that put on there. You know, that could be even something that students do as an early finisher, or whenever you're getting ready to do those appreciation days in the spring, they can make appreciation cards and encouragement cards for the people that are going to be receiving all that appreciation from them in there. So today is going to be beginner basics. I love alliterations, even though I never taught ELA. So we are just going to go over how we get in there. There is a big change this year with the teams, and I'm going to kind of explain to y'all what that means and why we have those. I'm going to show you the branded items that we have, which is going to be a newer thing. We're going to talk about how you can send assignments to Google Classroom for your students, which, and I know if you're teaching kind of younger elementary, that may not be exactly where you're wanting to go. But you could, however, send things to Google Classroom that they could open up and view themselves. You could do interactive things that they could click on, not necessarily, you know, you're thinking, well, my first grader is not going to design a newsletter or an About Me poster in Canva. No, probably not, but you could create an assignment that's interactive that they could interact with. So we'll show you how to put that in Google Classroom. Also, how we can share designs, which is really intuitive. It's very similar to Google, and how we can organize our Canvas. So I'm going to jump over to the two ways that we can kind of get in with Canva. So let me sign out. Originally last year, whenever I did share the correct screen, whenever we rostered everything over to do Canva for Education, and that meant that because you all are employees of the Chilton County School District and you all receive you know, invaluable benefits for being an educator with us, one of the things we can at least do is we can make sure that you have access to all the great stuff in Canva for free. So excuse me, turns out that we did it halfway correctly last year, and that was my fault. But then I wanted to make sure that we had everything set up correctly this year. So you can do it one of two ways. You can log in through Clever. It's located under District Links and Resources. And there is a different app this year. It says Canva for Education. So this is the one that we technically should be using. So you can go through Clever. You also can just go to Canva and you can sign in with your Google account. Canva should recognize and pick up that you have that Chilton BOE handle. So it knows that you are part of my team, you're part of my school district that we've set up, and that you're going to get the benefits for all that. So if you have never logged in, hopefully you're able to get in one of those two ways, either sign in with Google and sign in with Canva. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue because I'm just literally just logged out because I was been in here for the majority of the day preparing for this. So it kind of goes through some screens. It's authorizing everything. And I am not 100% sure at this point. Let me put my meet in another tab so I can see if y'all raise a hand or something. I'm not 100% sure which team is going to come up for you when you log in. I'm not real sure if it funnels everybody to Chilton Canva or if it's going to funnel you to a school team. So kind of interested to see maybe what that is. Is anybody logged in and can tell me like what's the first team that it goes to for y'all? You're all muted, so you have to unmute yourself.
I'm at Chilton County. Chilton Canva.
Mine too.
It says Chilton County School District.
Mine's Chilton Canva.
Chilton Canva. Okay, so the one that has the little logo on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yay, that worked just the way we wanted it to. Okay, so one thing that this has done is it gives everybody access to like a whole district Chilton Canva account. So one thing that we can do too is that in this part, I can create what we call like branded designs, which means that if you want to make something with our logo, I have our logo put in Canva already for you. And then one thing and you may not realize that this is coming because if you've been out to the central office lately, you may have noticed those big tall posters that we have. It's not a poster, it's an e-poster. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Clements is very excited about them. He loves them. It's kind of like it's like our display TVs you may have in your hallways or your lunchrooms at school, but it's a vertical standing poster. So we have a template made in Canva that's the correct size where whoever is going to be responsible for this can design what they want in Canva and then drop it over the image to the software that the e-poster pulls from. So that's something that's going to be like in this Chilton Canva on there. So if on the left side, if you go over to the brand, you should see those templates. I think I've shared them the correct way. I may not have. We can fix that later if we want to. And then also under the brand kits, I have put our logo in there. So, if we were going to some schools have chosen to do this at a school level where anything that they make has got, a specific font, a specific color palette, and things like that. So that's it's a neat way to stay on brand with your school, especially if you are making graphics for like your athletic department and things like that, that you can consistently use the same things over and over again.
Okay,
Miss
Katie,
what you got?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I went to Canva, and then I'm
Yes.
sorry, I went to Clever,
No.
and then I went down here to it says Canva for education, and I
Yes.
clicked on that, and hold on a second, redid it so I could see what happened. Okay, perfect. I'll go. It said error.
Did it let you
Okay,
in? Okay, good.
yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Well, and then, no, you're good. Another thing that this did too is that in the past, you may have had some of your staff in your school, your principals, your counselors, your APs, your teacher assistants, people like that. They may not have been able to get in through Clever because they weren't a teacher. That should all be fixed now. Anybody who has that Chilton BOE email address, if they're logging in that way, they're going to be able to get in. Now, I have had some people that have emailed me, some teachers, they're saying, oh my gosh, I logged in, all my stuff is gone. Hopefully it is not gone. It is still there. I did have a teacher where we changed, she had a name change. We changed her email. We did have to go in and retrieve that. But Canva has a very, very helpful ticket system. So if you have a teacher in your school or if you have been making things in Canva on a personal account, if you want to connect that, there's a way to do that as well. So if you go up to the top right corner, you're going to see teams. More than likely, you should see the school that you belong to. So now we kind of have like this big district umbrella. Now you can bring it down and you can do stuff within just the people at your school. And that's also going to include your students. Before, we were working under the Chilton County School District one. So that is where most of my content is housed because that is the one that I worked under previously, like last year. So this is where all of my things that I've made over the past several years is at. So that is the one that I stay at for the most part. I'm also slightly afraid that if I make something in Chilton Canva that everybody in the district is going to be able to see it. So I stay in Chilton County School District because I know that my stuff is there. But you can go to your school and be able to access stuff that way too. And then also this add another account. This is where, like I said, if you were it pops up to another window. If you were working out of a private, like your personal email, if you wanted to connect those, you could do that as well from here. You just add another account, you go through and sign into that Google account or maybe other, email handles are an option. You can do that there too. Okay. So we have logged in. We've talked about our teams. We talked about the brands. Let's talk about classes for a minute. So for some reason, Google Classroom is not one of the LMSs or learning management systems that Canva supports. However, we can make a class in Canva from our Google Classroom. So this option is not going to be 100% necessary. I can tell you that. If you really, really want to do it so you can have them organized, you can do that. But you can also you can organize or you can send assignments to your Google Classrooms the other way. So I'm going to show you both just to do that. But if you come down here to the bottom left side and do create a class, you can choose your name. This is an adult Google Classroom class, so they're probably not going to like it in a minute. But you can either send in the link or you can invite them via Google Classroom. And so you simply go in and you invite the students, and it's a pop-up window. Let's see, it's going to show you. Yeah. And so then it goes into my Google Classroom courses. Oh, it dropped. Okay. It's not playing nice with that. Let me go back to this. Sorry. See, I told you all that something technical difficulties would happen. Anyway, when you go to create a class and you go through those steps, it brings up all your Google Classrooms and it will allow you to select your students in that course that you want to invite over. Like I said, I don't think that's 100% necessary unless you solely want to work in Canva. I personally, with the age group of students that I used to teach, which was 6th grade and younger, I would do the opposite. I would push my assignments over to Google Classroom and do it on a per assignment basis instead of in a class. But that is also your preference, whatever you would like to do for that. Okay, so let's just for a minute talk about what we kind of see when we log in. So if you have been working in Canva already, once you get to the right account, you may see lots of your recent designs. And this is something that as organized as I am in my Google Drive, my Canva is not organized. So we do have different ways that we can go in and do all this. So I'm going to come over here to my left side toolbar and I'm going to click on projects. And so this is where I kind of can manipulate and clean up some of my things. So we can create folders in in Canva. So I'm going to go right here and do add new and folder, and I'm going to do my EdTech tips. You can share a folder if you want to. You can invite specific people if you wanted to have them contribute to their folder. For people, they have to be within your school. So that would be why those people are not within my school. I'll try to put Miss Pitts in there. So then you're just going to continue. And then now I have a folder labeled right there. So then for whatever items that I wanted to move to my folder, I should just be able to drag and drop those things over to that folder. You can also click on the 3 dots and do move to a folder. You can select multiple things at a time and move to a folder that way too. So if you have a ton of things in there, that may be something that's helpful to you. You also can take your folder and you can click on the 3 dots and you can star your folder. And now it's going to throw it over here on the side. So you can have easy access to your folders all the time if you want to choose to do it that way to organize. So I just really have just thrown a lot of stuff in here, but then sometimes I try to go back and find things to update them or reuse them, and it's harder to do that with. So I'm going to just throw, and then it works over there on the side too. Oops, go back to projects. Can put them over there and then be able to find them a little bit easier within that folder. Okay. You also can rename your items from here if you would like to. And then under the 3 dots too, you can easily download them. You don't have to open them up every time or copy a link. So let's talk briefly about sharing also. So the sharing permissions are going to be very similar to the way they are in Google. Whenever you decide to share something, you have your people that you can share them with. You have 3 different permissions. You can edit, they can comment, or they can only view it. Keep in mind, if you give them edit permissions, they're going to be able to modify your design. So, if you made a classroom newsletter and your co-teacher across the hall says, hey, will you send me that design? I really like it. I would give them view permissions, and then they can make their own copy or make them a copy out of yours and then go from there. For example, this teacher toolkit, I had some people ask me for that. So I made a copy of the toolkit and then I shared the copy. I did not share the particular one that I wanted to make sure that I had access to all of the time. So just keep that in mind. It's the same as Google. you give them permission to edit, they're going to be able to edit it just as, like you were able to do so as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about once we make designs. I'm just going to use this little About Me poster. And I'll get into searching for it in just a second. This was just kind of like housekeeping stuff. I wanted to get like all of that out of the way today. So this is just a little hand-drawn, it's an About Me poster. So let's say that I want my students to be able to create something and I want them to be able to do this. So there's a couple of different ways that you could do it. You could just share it with them and give them a link and then be able to view it and then make their own copy. Or you can put it directly in their Google Classroom. I'm going to try my best to go through these steps, but it's mostly a pop-up browser, so probably the same thing that happened a minute ago is going to happen there. But if you look back on the presentation that I shared with you, these are step-by-step teacher directions on how to share assignments to Google Classroom, and these are step-by-step student directions on how they will submit assignments in Google Classroom. I will say I tried to do it today with Nick next door, but he is also set up as like a teacher or a staff member in Canva. So I think that's why we kind of ran into it didn't look exactly how I thought it should. So if anybody is brave enough to try it out with their kids, let me know if the student steps submit the way that I think that they will, but that is from Canva. And their official guidance for that. So hopefully that will work beautifully the way that we want it to. So let's say this is our template. You can do one of two things. You can either click on assignment or Google Classroom. I did assignment earlier because assignment has this option where Google Classroom does not. So it says where they should submit the work. We want our students to submit the work in Google Classroom, and we want to share this as a new design for each student. This is the exact same as make a copy for each student in Google Classroom. So this is through the Share As Assignment button. You also could just look at the design and not be able to edit it or make a blank one. This would be something for our lower kiddos where we make something that's interactive that we want them to look through and participate in, a choice board or a presentation or something like that. But they can only look at it, that they can't edit it and they can interact with it. So you can do this for both sets of students. So I'm going to do new design for each student and do publish. Excuse me. Now I have a little pop-up that says share to classroom. I'm going to choose my class, choose the action. We can either create an assignment, which gives them a choice to open something and submit it back, ask a question, make an announcement, or create material. If you're doing this for little people just to interact or look at something, you could just do it as material. But for this one, I'm going to choose assignment. I'm going to click go. So title it, you can see now that this is literally my Google Classroom window, complete ASAP. It's got the link to my design. I decide who I want to assign it to, a due date. I can put a time, that's fine. Can put a topic. And then I'm going to click assign. So now it has posted to my class. So I'm going to jump into this Google Classroom just so you can kind of see. So I've got Canva test right here. And because it's an assignment, I've got my turned in and my assigned. But if I click this link, it's going to direct me back to my Canva. So I can't necessarily open this as a student view. But what the directions say for students is they will go into Google Classroom. They will click on this link and they will open up the template. And then I want to make sure I'm telling you correctly. Once they are finished, they will go back to the same place. I'm going to go back over to my Canva tab. They will choose the share row. So we call that the arrow with the share row. And they will click on Google Classroom. They will select a class to submit it to, and then they will have a list of assignments that pull up. So again, I'm a teacher in this view, so I can't necessarily mimic exactly what this should look like, but they'll pick their Google Classroom. There will be a list of all the assignments. They'll choose the assignment. They'll click the word attach. And then once you go to Google Classroom, you should see all of their Canva assignments inside Google Classroom. again, that's kind of, our familiar and our safe space of where we're used to having grading and things like that. And it actually opens up in that pop-up window. So, hey, somebody try it. Let me know if it works. In theory, it should. If it doesn't, I'm happy to help you troubleshoot, and we will figure out the best way to do that. So, also, when we actually share our designs, like I said, you can do the people necessarily, but let's talk about our download options just for a minute. Your PNG and your JPEG are going to be like a photo file. So if you're wanting to publish this on social media or something like that, that's going to be what you want to choose. PDF standard and printing. I will tell you, if you choose those options and you have got hyperlinks in there, they are supposed to hold. So that is going to be your best bet if you have something interactive that you want to put out there. An MP4 video or a GIF. For example, on our display board this week, Miss Karen Easterling, who is our wonderful receptionist up front. So sorry, Casey and Beth, that she left y'all, but she loves us now. So we had, her birthday was yesterday. So we have a happy birthday thing rolling through for her. And so I picked some balloons that rise up from the bottom and pop. So I actually exported, I made it in Canva. I exported it as an MP4, and it's playing as a repeat loop video on the e-poster. So you can do short little snippets too. And there's lots of things that are animated in Canva. So if you want the animation to hold over to whatever you're wanting it to do, it needs to be exported in a video form. So keep in mind too with Canva, if you do export things in a picture, they are very large. So your post is going to be pretty big. I have made a couple of things to go on our board slideshow on the website before, and I've had to really tone my size down to make sure it is going to be like in a viewable size. So just keep that in mind too. You can always resize it later, but you may want to tone it down before you actually download it, so your file is not quite as large. Again, personal preference. Probably depends on what you're looking for that. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about kind of like navigating, organizing before we get into like finding templates and stuff like that I can answer? I'm gonna go back over to this. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. I don't see any chats. Oh, let me send this presentation one more time in case somebody has jumped in and you're like, what presentation is she talking about? It's just a Google slide deck to help me keep on track of what I want to talk about today. And it took me pretty much all day to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets. So it's not the only thing I've done today, but also with that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to home just so we kind of are all on our home screen. So one thing about Canva, we know it's going to be a great communication tool, and we know that it makes our stuff pretty. It makes stuff fancy, and it's very pleasing to the end user. So how do we get started with that? And people are like, oh, there's too many options. I don't know what to do. So the thing about Canva is the whole goal of it is to save you time, that you know what information you want to put out there, but it's going to do all the aesthetic things for you and maybe even give you some ideas of like what to use later on. So there's a couple of different ways you can get started with what you want to do. We're going to talk, I kind of have separated it into some basic designs and then some more complicated things that we'll do in the third session. So for the Design Diva one next month, I'll kind of go over some more of the elements and actual designing. And then we'll talk about like whiteboards and presentations and videos in the last one, because I need to brush up on my things for that. But you can pick something right here. I prefer to go over to templates. And this is the big key, the key right here is that they are pitching is that they are time savers, that they want to help you save time when you're making things. So I do like right here how it has our recommendation of flyers. That's always a really good one if you want to have something, produce a large piece of paper that has lots of information on it. One of my favorite ones to do is if I am making a cute little announcement like the Canva square thing that I sent out, I always choose Instagram post square. That's typically the one. I like how it's a cute size. It limits me on what information I put on there so that I don't put too much. And it translates really beautifully between social media platforms and things like that. We have newsletters, which are exactly what some of our educators are looking for. And then we do have some worksheets. Now, you can also get really specific on things that you want to find too. So if you are looking for something Halloween, you can just click on Halloween and go through different designs of things. Like, and this is going to be anything and everything Halloween themed. So this is like a worksheet right here to make a pumpkin. This is a brochure. This is an invitation. This is a grocery list template. I Spy Halloween. So, I don't think there's going to be probably very advanced worksheets on here, but I Spy Halloween, that would be a cute little, K1 activity worksheet thing. You got to make treat goodie bags. The days of having to pay for that on Etsy is gone. You can do this yourself in Canva, I promise. So you can search by a theme if you want to do that. That can be a little overwhelming sometimes. We can also just do like classroom newsletters. Typically, if you start typing something, it's going to either give you a suggestion of what you want or some templates. So I'm just going to do classroom newsletter so we can browse some of those templates today, because I think that's something that's probably applicable to most of the people on our call today. And so there are literally, it says 212 templates. You can narrow it down by your style of what you want it to be. If you want it to be simple, if you want the theme to be, I think those are all pretty much the same because it's going to be a classroom newsletter. If you want it to be a particular color scheme, like you like the color blue, so you want to look for things that are blue, that obviously narrows down your options. So let's see if I can take that filter off. But then you just browse through your templates and you find something that you like and you want to design. So like I said today, I don't want to get super duper bogged down into the design element yet. So I'm just going to maybe go through some helpful templates that you may want to look at to get started and explore yourself before I do the next one. So I did classroom newsletters. I'm going to go back and write this on our slide too. Another thing that is very popular to do in here is this one right here, Google Classroom headers. So these are the headers that go on our Google Classroom. I will show you one really quickly that I have done. So this one right here, that is not a standard Google Classroom header. This is something I made in Canva. So I like to do this too to customize my classrooms, especially if you were teaching 4 English classes a day. You don't want all of them to be the exact same. You need something a little bit different to look at too, so you can train your eyes to know which classroom you're looking in. So Google Classroom headers, 2,808 templates, literally for anything and everything. You can also narrow them down by theme or search by subject even that you're looking at. Very, very popular ones. Another thing that this one is great for, if you even want to do a header on a Google Doc, it's the right size to go across the top of a doc. It's also, if you're using Google Sites for anything, it's the right size for a header on a Google site. So it's a really good way to customize that kind of stuff too. So Google Classroom headers are another commonly used template. And then a lot of people also are interested and have made email signatures in Canva. So, teacher email signature. It says this girl's looking up all kinds of classroom stuff. So you can even go here, and I have seen some of these used on emails that I get pretty frequently. So on your Gmail, you can actually, what you will do is you will pick you a template that you like in Canva. You'll go in and type in all your information, put your picture on there, all sorts of things that you want to do to be fancy. And then you will download it as a JPEG image. And then you'll go into Gmail, into the settings for insert signature, and you will upload your picture. That is exactly how I made mine. And you can do it that way. It is also a brand template that I have too, just a very basic one that has the Chilton County Schools logo on it. We decided to do that as a brand template as well. So all you have to search are classroom signatures. Let's see, under education, what some other things they have for templates. Worksheets and activities. So cute little All About Me worksheets. And guys, all these are free. Like, you have access to all of these. We do not have to have a subscription to Super Teacher worksheets or anything like that. Little charts that you want to do for your classroom, line tracing. Again, I don't think that this is going to be more geared towards our lower elementary students. Comic strips. That's a great activity. I think that maybe like middle school, you could even get some middle school kids behind this, doing it, making their own little comic strips if you print out the templates. And this is something, sure, I could probably take my time and do this in a Google slide or in Google Drawings, but it's eating up something very valuable to me, and that is my time. So comic strips are another great one that's on there. Graphic organizers. There used to be an awesome graphic organizer website, and this blows it out of the water. Just makes it different. Your kids don't want to look at the exact same KWL chart all the time. Even if you don't want to print out one for them, you pick one and you put it up on your ViewSonic board, and you fill it in on your ViewSonic board as the whole class is looking at it. So it can be used in multiple ways that you want to do that. Little posters. If you really want to spruce up your classroom, they have alphabet posters, multiplication charts. Literally anything that you could probably dream up is going to be in here. I made little chore charts for my kids at home using Canva that were pretty good. Flashcards, again. Infographics are a big thing that a lot of teachers want students to create. And I will say that this is one of the harder, I think, things to create because it's kind of overwhelming. So if I would advise, if you want to choose an infographic, I would pick a template for them, and then I would send it to them the way that we talked about sharing it, and then let them do their own with that. Let's get out of education just for a minute and go to business. So hopefully nobody is looking to do anything or go anywhere, but it's never a bad idea to have your resume updated. They have some really, really fancy resumes. Now, Casey, I don't know if I would throw my resume on a pink bordered paper if I'm a professional male teacher, but you never know, whatever floats your boat. But this really, a lot of people, if you think about our job market, this, coming out right now, it's when you have this, which probably a lot of college graduates and younger people are going to have, compared to our Word doc that we have had for years and years and years, this kind of blows that out of the water a little bit. And I'm not saying that, you're going to hire somebody over somebody who has more expensive experience because they have a prettier resume, but it does make a really good first impression. So that is something that you could use for personal use on there. I do like the calendars. I made a grading period calendar for our counselors using Canva. It was really simple to do, and I'll show you kind of how to navigate through the pages. But if you're one of those people where you like to have a paper calendar, but you forgot to order one, or you just need somewhere to write stuff down and then you can throw it away, you can print out a paper calendar from Canva instead of having to Google, September 2024 calendar. You can do it in here. You've got different mind maps. So again, there are websites that do this, but you can use this template in here, either use it whole group up on the board or assign it to your students on their own. And then lastly, on social media, like I told you before, the Instagram posts are my favorite size to use for social media things. So if you're the one who happens to create things to go on your school social media, this is, and when I do this for the district, this is where I usually go and get my templates. I happened to search for this the other day. They do and a lot of times if you're doing something like we're closing for Labor Day, they have Labor Day templates already made. So, I literally will just come get one of these, and I may throw our logo on it or type some extra text on it, or, we'll be closed this Labor Day. That's super simple. And this is something that you are creating. So essentially we are not violating copyright in any way. We're not taking an image online without permission. This is something from our account that we're creating. So if you really want to model that ethical use for your students, which we all should be doing, this is a great way to say too, look, these are things that you're creating under your own account. So you own the property, you own the rights to that, to be able to post that and share that out there. So that's something we have to be really mindful of when we're posting to a public platform. So one thing, big takeaway for today, is that if you aren't sure what you want, you can look through the templates. If you're kind of sure what you want, you can probably plug in enough keywords to be able to figure it out. So I hope that maybe I have shared enough with you today to kind of get your feet wet a little bit. I want to go through a couple of resources that I had put on the slide. So Some of the ideas and stuff that I got for this mini series, I have gotten from Canva's Twitter page. I know that Twitter is kind of an old thing right now, but there are, when I tell you there are a ton of free educational resources on Twitter, there are a ton. If you follow the right people and follow the right accounts, you're going to see all kinds of new ideas for stuff. And so I highly recommend following Canva EDU and Canva if you have a Twitter. If you want to explore more on your own, this is the link to Design School. I actually took one of the tests today. Let me see which one. I took just the Canva Essential certification test. It was 25 questions, and there were only, I think, 2 things that I did not know already. So if you're kind of, and there's a prep course that goes with it too. I did not do the prep course. I just kind of jumped right into it because that's kind of how I attack things like that. So if you want more of a step-by-step look through this is how you do this, I highly recommend doing that. I do believe that you can turn in the certificates for external PD credit at the end of the year, so you can do that. Keyboard shortcuts when you're designing in Canva, especially if you're working on a laptop, sometimes not having a mouse is very frustrating. Canva has a lot of personalized keyboard shortcuts, so I put that link in there today. We'll probably use it more for the next session, but it's a good thing to look at. And then this teacher toolkit is a really awesome Canva presentation. So if you're not sure what a Canva presentation looks like, this is it. So it kind of will give you some more ways that you can use this as a classroom teacher. So I put that on there for you to flip through and look at. You also will see something very familiar. This that I borrowed from the beginning, where you can kind of get some ideas for maybe where you want to go with this for next time. So my hope is for the session in October, I will actually get a little bit more into the design process, how to find the different elements, how to change things up, how to make sure it's the way you want it to look, how to upload your own content in there. And we'll go through some different templates and things like that and actually building some of it. This was really a super beginner, I've logged into Canva one time and it scared me and I closed it out type session. And then whenever we do the last one in November, the more advanced one, we're going to do the more collaborative things like the presentations and whiteboards and the video and kind of stuff like that. But I hope that maybe you learned enough today to be a little bit braver to try something. So if anybody has any questions, I will hang out here until we are finished. But I know that you all have very important things you want to do with your time today. And I very, very much appreciate all of you logging in today. I think this is the biggest group I've ever had on a afternoon PD session. So this is a big milestone for me today too. So I super, super duper appreciate it. And if not, then I will make sure I get your attendance from our call and I will plug you in Power School and you will be good to go.
Thank you, Katie.
You're so welcome. Yes, ma'am, Miss Heather, what you got? You can unmute yourself if you want, or you can send a chat. Oh, let's open Q. I don't know what that is. Oh. Do I have to? I can't unmute someone else. Heather, did you have something you wanted to ask? I'm sorry. It won't let me unmute you. Maybe, maybe not. Beth, did you have something? Can I unmute? Oh, I'll mute it.
Hey, I know you were talking about having like multiple accounts, and last year I didn't have obviously the Chilton Canva, but mine says Beth Mink's class, and I don't even know how I got that. I just one day got on here and was like, oh wow, look, this is available to us, and so I have everything that I created last year under that, and then when I saw this one for this year, I thought, oh, well, maybe I need to start using that. I don't know if the other one's going to go away. So do you know, like, do I need to, do you say there's a way to link them together, or is that?
Well, if you had different accounts, I think it's fine as long as you have the one like with your class. And I think if you go under settings, you can, I know you may not want to take it away because it has all your stuff on there. You can, I think, get rid of it if it's something that you own. I think that's something that they made whenever we re-rostered everybody is that it puts you into like your own class. Cause I've had somebody else tell me that too. But I know you may not want to get rid of your stuff. So what I did have is I had a teacher who logged in and all her stuff was gone because we had changed her email address over the summer. So then I did reach out. But now if you want that one to go away, but you want all your stuff transferred over to the other one, I can send you an email with the link to the ticket to submit that if that's something that you do want to do.
Well, I don't mind, necessarily having it in 2 different places because I can just switch back and forth pretty easily. But I just didn't know if the one from last year is going to disappear.
No, it should not. Because I can promise you, as much trouble as it was for me to get this set up this summer, I am not going to mess with it in any way. And so it is going to stay there.
I just didn't know if that if I wasn't going to be able to access, like when we get to awards day at the end of the year and I want to go back to the stuff I made at that time last year, then
yes,
I didn't want it to not be available.
Yes, it should absolutely be there. Oh, that's another good thing I should put on there is award certificates.
Yes. Now I did the awards day certificates with the kind of like a mail merge. You know,
yes,
about last year where you I put in the names under a Google sheet and then it puts the names on each one for you.
That's fantastic.
And so, because I thought I was going to have to type them all in, but yeah, we did that and it was great. I had to do a lot of YouTube watching to figure it out, but we did. So that was
nothing under the advanced day. You may have to do a guest presentation that day.
Oh gosh. Well, you don't have to let me know ahead of time so I practice.
Well, and I will say this too. That is probably going to be easier. I also have figured out a way for y'all to generate your own award certificates through PowerSchool too. I've learned that this summer. So I'm excited to get that done for y'all for next year too. And it will pull all your kids for you that get certificates. It's pretty cool. I only have one built though, like an attendance one. That was it. So I don't have like highest, A, B honor roll and all that stuff yet.
Okay. No, that sounds great. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else have anything? Miss Pitts, you still hanging in there?
Hey, I had muted you, but I'm still hanging in here.
Good. You learned something today?
I was kind of having a little panic moment when you talk about presentations and all that other stuff.
We're going to do that way later. We're going slow, I promise.
Later. Okay.
Yes, because you're very welcome.
I got in a panic earlier. I thought it was at 2:00 and I couldn't get on, couldn't find anybody. And then I went back and read the email. Sorry.
Yeah, we had to wait for the for car rider people to be finished.
Sounds good.
Okay, then. Well, I will hopefully see y'all next time. Oh, I got to record. I got to stop my recording. That's why.